Hi viewers, Vanakkam, Vandanam, Namaskaram. You are watching Namma channel. It's full and full education and entertainment. Watch the video carefully and learn it everything.
What polynomials are? Let's look at the concept of terms and expressions. 14xz plus 53y minus 3. There is a plus as well as a minus sign here, which means that we have three terms: 14xz, 53y and 3. The second expression is 23x squared y minus 4y cubed. This expression has just two terms, 23x squared y and 4y cubed. Now we can move on to understanding the most important concept in algebraic expressions. It's the concept of polynomials. As you can see, the word has been colored into two parts. Poly means many and nomial means parts or terms in the case of algebraic expressions. And that's how the word polynomial comes about. There are different types of polynomials. A polynomial can be an expression with just one term, or two terms, or three terms, or maybe even a greater number of terms. All these categories come under one roof, which is the polynomial. Expressions with just one term, two terms, or three terms are given special names. An expression with one term is called monomial. An expression with two terms is called a binomial. And an expression that has three terms is called a trinomial. Mono is 1, bi is 2, and tri is 3. There is a common misconception that only an expression with more than three terms is called a polynomial. That's incorrect. All expressions which have one or more terms are called polynomials. Let's look at a few examples of each. The number 7 is a monomial. It's just one term. 4x is also a monomial. It's just one term as 4 and x are multiplied. Even 3ab squared is a monomial. And yes, all these expressions are also polynomials. An example of a binomial would be 4 plus x. The plus sign separates the terms. Another example would be 3xy minus x. An example of a trinomial would be 3 plus a plus b. It has three terms, 1, 2 and 3. Or maybe 3cd plus a plus 8. Again, let me remind you, all these examples you have seen are polynomials. And an example of the last type would be 4z plus 9 plus 3x plus y. It has four terms in all. So remember, a polynomial is an expression which has one or more terms. Important concept related to polynomials. Think about it. There can actually be just two broad categories of polynomials. The first category, which has just one variable, and the second one, which has more than one variable. That's it. These are the only two possibilities. An example of the first type would be 6x raised to 5 plus 2x squared minus 7x plus 9. This polynomial has just one variable, which is x. An example of the second type would be 5xy cubed plus 17xy plus 9y squared plus 9. This has two variables, x and y, which makes it fall into the second category. So what about these two categories? Why did we form them? It is for the concept we will look at in this video, the degree of the polynomial. In the first category, where we have just one variable, the degree is the largest exponent of that variable. Here, 5 is the largest exponent, which tells us that the degree is 5. The degree of this polynomial is 5. Let's look at a second example in this category. 21x plus 6x cubed plus 7 plus x squared. In the first term, the degree of x is 1. In the second term, the degree of x is 3. And in the last term, it's 2. 3 becomes the largest exponent of the variable. And that's why the degree of this polynomial is 3. Is it any different in the second case? Yes, slightly different. In the second case, for each term, we add the exponents of each variable in it. How will it work out for the first example? Remember, we have to look at each term individually. Consider the first term, 5xy cubed. We had to add the exponents of each variable in it. The exponent of x is 1 and the exponent of y is 3. So for the first term, we consider the power to be 1 plus 3, which is 4. Now we come to the second term. There are two variables, x and y, and each of them have an exponent equal to 1. Adding the exponents, we consider the exponent of this term to be 1 plus 1, which equals 2. In the third term, we have just one variable. Its exponent will just be 2. And as we have no variables in the last term, its exponent will be 0. Remember, we are looking at exponents of variables. The exponent of variables of the last term is 0. And the largest of these becomes the degree. The degree of this polynomial is 4, which is the highest amongst these. Here's our last example. 7xz plus 10 plus 3z cubed y plus 19y raised to 4. We have 4 terms here. In the first term, the sum of exponents of x and z is 2. In the second case, since we have no variables, the exponent is 0. In the third term, it's 3 plus 1, which equals 4. And in the fourth term as well, the exponent is 4. 4 is the highest amongst these 4 terms. Hence, the degree of this polynomial is 4. What is the zero of a polynomial? The phrase sounds confusing. Let us try to understand it. Consider the polynomial p of x equals x plus 3. Now here's a very simple question based on this polynomial. What value of x will make p of x equal to 0? That is, the value of the polynomial equal to 0. What do I use in place of x such that x plus 3 equals 0? Since this is a simple linear polynomial, we can easily say that for x equal to minus 3, we get the value for the polynomial as minus 3 plus 3 equal to 0. So minus 3 in place of x gave us a 0. So minus 3 is called the zero of the polynomial p of x. Remember, 0 of the polynomial is a number which, when substituted in place of x, makes the value of the polynomial 0. Generally, the number of zeros of a polynomial equals the degree of the polynomial. In this particular case, the degree of the polynomial is 1, which is why we have one zero, which is minus 3. What is the general form of these kinds of polynomials with degree 1? We will see that next.
In this video, we're going to focus on using the factor theorem to solve polynomial equations. So what exactly is the factor theorem? Well, here's the basic idea of it. Let's say if f of c is equal to 0, then x minus c is a factor of f of x. Now the reverse is true. If x minus c is a factor then f of c is equal to 0. Now c is considered to be a 0 of the function. In this case, 3 is a 0 of the function. So you can say c is 3, which means that f of 3 is equal to 0. And that means that x minus 3 is a factor. So if x minus 3 is a factor, then that means that this function is divisible by x minus 3. So we can use synthetic division or long division and divide it by x minus 3. So what is x cubed minus 4x squared plus x plus 6 divided by x minus 3? Let's use synthetic division. So we need to use c. c is 3. And then let's write the coefficients. 1x cubed, negative 4x squared, 1x, and 6. Let's bring down the 1, and then let's multiply. 3 times 1 is 3. And then add. Negative 4 plus 3 is negative 1. And then 3 times negative 1 is negative 3. 1 plus negative 3 is negative 2. And 3 times negative 2 is negative 6. And this gives us a remainder of 0, because f of 3 is equal to 0. So now, if we take x cubed divided by x, that's going to give us x squared. So this is 1x squared minus 1x minus 2. So x cubed minus 4x squared plus x plus 6 divided by x minus 3, that's equal to x squared minus x minus 2. Now, if we multiply both sides of that equation by x minus 3, we can see that x cubed minus 4x squared plus x plus 6, it's really x minus 3 times x squared minus x minus 2. Basically, you take this and just move it to the other side. So notice that we just factored this cubic polynomial function. So x cubed minus 4x squared plus x plus 6 is equal to x minus 3 times x squared minus x minus 2. So now all we need to do to completely factor this expression is factor this quadratic expression, or trinomial. So can we factor that expression? Is there two numbers that multiply to negative 2 but add to negative 1? This will be negative 2 and 1. Negative 2 times 1 is negative 2, and negative 2 plus 1 is negative 1. So this is going to be x minus 3, let me write that better, times x minus 2 times x plus 1. So now this expression is completely factored. And since that expression was equal to 0, this expression is equal to 0 as well. So now to calculate the value of x, we need to set each factor equal to 0. So the zeros of the function are 3, 2, and negative 1. We were given one of them, which is this one. 3 was a 0 of the function, and the other two are 2 and 1. So that's how you can solve the polynomial equation given one of the zeros using synthetic division. So the answers are 2 and negative 1.
Hi, welcome to the lesson on division of polynomials. Long division of polynomials is similar to long division of whole numbers. Let's take the example of when you divide 36 by 5. You get 7, remainder 1. You can check your answer using the following. 36 is equal to 7 times 5 plus 1. In other words, the dividend, 36, is equal to the quotient, 7, times by the divisor, 5, plus the remainder, 1. The result can also be written in the form 36 divided by 5 is equal to 7 plus 1/5. In other words, the dividend, 36, divided by the divisor, 5, is equal to the quotient, 7, plus the remainder over the divisor, which in our case is 1 over 5. Let's look at this example. X cubed plus 4x squared minus 9x minus 36 all over x plus 3. This question needs to be rewritten in the bus stop method. The numerator, or the dividend, needs to be written inside the bus stop. The denominator, or divisor, needs to be written outside of the bus stop. Note that the terms inside the bus stop must be written in descending powers of x. The first thing we're going to do is focus on the first term in the divisor and the first term in the dividend. What is x cubed divided by x? Well, that's simply x squared. We write this x squared as part of the answer in the quotient on top of the bus stop. Next, we carry out a calculation. We take this x squared and we multiply it by x plus 3, in which case you will get x cubed plus 3x squared. These two terms are then written under the x cubed plus 4x squared, which is in the bus stop. Next, we draw a line and we subtract. X cubed minus x cubed is 0. 4x squared minus 3x squared is x squared. The next thing to do is to bring down the next term, minus 9x. Once again, we look at the first term of the divisor and the x squared, and we do the calculation. What is x squared divided by x? Well, the answer is simply x, which we write on top of the bus stop as part of our quotient. Next, we carry out a calculation. We take that value of x and we multiply it by the divisor, and we get x squared plus 3x. We write those two terms under the x squared minus 9x. We then draw a line and subtract. Once again, x squared minus x squared is 0. Negative 9x minus 3x will give negative 12x. We bring down the next term, the negative 36. Once again, we look at the first term of the divisor and the negative 12x. And we do the division. Negative 12x divided by x will equal negative 12. We transfer this answer of negative 12 into the quotient. Then we carry out our calculation. Negative 12 times x plus 1 gives you negative 12x minus 36. And we write those two terms under the existing negative 12x minus 36. And when we subtract those two, we get 0. And hence we have completed our long division. Have a look at this question. X cubed minus 3x squared minus 10x plus 24 all over x minus 4. Pause the video and have a go at the question. When you've completed the question, restart the video and check your answer. Well, did you get it right? Your quotient should be x squared plus x minus 6. Ensure that all the terms in your workings match this worked solution. Let's have a go at this question. 2x cubed plus 5x squared minus 7x plus 4 all over x plus 4. Pause the video and have a go. When you're ready, restart the video to check your solution. How did you get on? Your quotient should be 2x squared minus 3x plus 5. Once again, Check that all the terms in the workings match this work solution. There are a few simple rules that you need to be aware of. The divisor and the dividend should always be written in descending powers of the variable. In our case, that variable is x. If there are terms missing, you will need to insert zeros. Let's have a look at an example of this. Here I have 3x to the power of 4 minus 2x squared minus 1 all over x plus 1. We need to write this using the bus stop method. You can see that the denominator, the divisor, is outside the bus stop of x plus 1. Inside the bus stop, we have 3x to the power of 4 plus 0x cubed minus 2x squared plus 0x minus 1. We have had to insert a term for x cubed and a term for x because there wasn't one in the original question. Now we can carry out a long division. So pause the video, have a go, start the video again and check your solution. How did you get on? This time your quotient is 3x cubed minus 3x squared plus x minus 1. There is an alternative to long division where you compare coefficients. This method can only be used if you have no remainders. I shall talk you through this in school, so that's something that we can both look forward to. Select the next video, which is all to do with factor theorem and remainder theorem.
Thank you for watching our channel. இந்த வீடியோ உங்களுக்கு பிடிச்சிருந்ததுன்னா கமெண்ட் பண்ணுங்க, லைக் பண்ணுங்க, ஷேர் பண்ணுங்க. மறக்காம இந்த சேனலை